What's going on, guys? Jack DiBenedetto, brickhousepower.com. Today's video is about how to structure a powerlifting training cycle. Now, there's tons of videos out there already, but they leave out a lot of the little details like percentages and reps and stuff like that. They just kind of tell you hypertrophy, strength, peaking. They kind of glance over a lot of things. I want to go more into detail, but condense it as much as I can and make it as simple as I can for you. Powerlifting and strength programs are going to be comprised of 4 different blocks: hypertrophy, strength, peaking, and then a deload, right? That's where you're going to drop everything off and compete. That's where you're going to display all your hard work on that one day. So how do we get to that one day? We start with hypertrophy. Now, the hypertrophy block is going to be, for most people, very few people, the very, very elite, don't need a true hypertrophy block. I don't really want to talk about them. I'm just going to glance over it real quick. They have the most muscle mass on their body, on their frame. They're already cutting weight. They don't really need a true hypertrophy block. They use this block or this time frame as more of an off season, just to kind of get away from the main lifts, give their body some time to rest and recover, and then they jump kind of more into a strength block, and to maintain their fitness and so on and so forth. Okay, back to what I was talking about. Hypertrophy block. Goals of this block is to build muscle. You want to stay away from the main lifts, right? Because we don't want to adapt to these competition lifts. Otherwise, you're going to stagnate. You're going to stall. We want to attack our weaknesses here. We want to go after everything that we pretty much suck at. So if you're a low bar squatter, maybe go after high bar, or use a safety squat bar. If your triceps are weak in the bench, use a close grip. If you're weak off the floor, do deficit deadlifts. Stuff like that, right? Make lighter weight harder and build muscle. Build new muscle, right? We want to gain extra muscle for the next block. So those are the goals, right, for this block. What do we use? What kind of percentages do we use? We want to use 55 to 75% of the 1 rep max for those lifts, not our main squat. We want to, if you're using safety bar squat, we want to use 55 to 75% of that 1 rep max. Make sense? Okay. We want to go between 6 and 12 reps. Now, I'm not going to give you any sets because this is going to depend on quite a few different factors. I need to know if they have more type 1 or type 2 muscle fiber. Do you work better with reps, or are you better at doing singles, right? That's going to determine where you kind of start and where you finish. What your frequency is like. Do you only recover well with 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week? Depends on the person. So that's why I'm going to leave that out. You kind of know your body here, and I'll let you kind of decide that. But normally, working with a coach, they figure that out for you, and that's where that. Sorry, I have to leave that out, but there's a lot of different factors there. Let's go on to the next block. Now that you transitioned from hypertrophy, and you built a lot of muscle, or as much as you can, and you're transitioning into the strength block. You want to take that new muscle and you want to make it strong. You want to make it, you want to build fitness here too. You want to start to take that new muscle, increase force production. You want to start to incorporate the main lifts. You're still not going to be doing just main lifts, but you want to sprinkle those in there so your body starts to get used to those. So this is going to increase your fitness overall. And you want to maintain the muscle mass that you've previously built in the last block. The percentages that you're going to use are 70 to 90% of your 1 rep maxes, depending on the exercise, 3 to 6 rep ranges. And again, the sets are dependent on the person. The goal, the main goal here is you want to increase the overall intensity over the course of this time, while maintaining the volume as much as possible. 70 to 90%, 3 to 6 reps, increase force production, start to sprinkle in the main lifts, increase the volume, increase the intensity over time. Got it? Let's flip the page. Peak. This is where we start to take all that work that you've done over the past few months and we start to bring it all together. Main goals of the peak. We're going to start to dial in your technique. This is where all the other lifts kind of go to the wayside, and we're just going to do the main lifts here. No more safety squat bars, no more none of that, unless it's like pure assistance work. But we really, really, really want to dial in the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. We want your neural adaptations to really go through the roof here. We want to increase neural force production, and we want to maintain as much of the fitness that you built in the strength block. Make sense? Percentages are 85 to 100%, and the rep ranges are 1 to 3 reps. The main goal here, again, is you're going to increase the intensity over that time frame. Okay, now that we've built as much neural force reduction, as much force production, as much neural adaptation, and we've, to use an analogy here, we've got the whole pyramid and we're right at the peak. And now we need to display it. We got to put that cap on there. How do we do that? We need to display it at the right time. We need to deload. So how do you do that the right way? We need to drop all the fatigue out as much as possible while not losing what we built, right? Because if you wait too long, you lose some of that strength and you lose some of that neural adaptation, some of that technique drops away because you waited maybe too long for the competition. Maybe you waited 2 weeks to compete, right? Makes sense? So you want to drop the fatigue. So what you want to do this last week is you want to use 80 to 90% of your normal training intensity. So as an example, I would work up to, if I was squatting around 600 pounds, my deload would be up to around 495, and then I would throw some reverse bands on, and I would do my first attempt and my second attempt. Now the reverse bands were taking quite a bit off, but they were taking nothing off at the top. This worked well for me. Other people, they don't need the reverse bands, just work up to 80 to 90%. And then you're only going to do 50 to 75% of your normal training volume. So whatever that is, for me, I was done. I had a very low training volume already. So all I had to do was work up to that. Done. I cut it. Other people, they might have to do a drop set or two. So just to keep them up, or maybe they have to do another small session later on in the week, maybe a couple days before the meet, maybe 3-4 days before the meet. I was doing it on Monday, so I was very far out from the meet. And I even did my deload bench on that day too. I did everything and I just rested up until Sunday. So again, this is very dependent on the lifter. So again, just to reiterate, 80 to 90% normal training intensity, 50 to 75% of your normal training volume. This is how you drop your fatigue. This is how you get ready, and this is how you show it on the day of the meet. I hope that made sense. If it doesn't, everything is here. Rewatch the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Show some comments. Put it down there. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Give me a FU in the comments. I don't care. See you guys later.